expert was unable to come today. So I was hoping there's someone in this audience who knows more than I do. I can pick out a few faces. Yeah, I know Maureen knows, but I haven't seen her for a little bit. But I can give you the very basics. This is the chapel. It's called the Primary Memorial Chapel. This is where the first primary was held. It was begun by Aurelia Rogers, who was a Farmington resident. You can see her house just down on State Street. It's about a block up from Clark Lane. Aurelia Rogers is in the silk gray dress. You guys are welcome to come up and sit as close as you want. Come look at it. This painting was painted by, I think, Lynn Fawcett in 1840s. Sorry, 1940s. He painted all the faces based on photographs. They actually had photographs of the kids when they were children, but those got burned somehow in the process of making the mural. So they had to use pictures of their faces as adults and try to make them look like children. So they could actually make them look like the descendants. So a lot of the children, people have said, oh, they look like grown-ups, you know. That's because they used the older pictures of them as they were older. But Aurelia Rogers, there's a great write-up, I wish I would have brought it today, from the Daughters of Utah Pioneers about the founding of the first primary. And they believe that the Clarks played an intricate role in making the first primary happen because there was a lot of rowdy children on State Street. And Aurelia Rogers was very concerned about, just the behavior that she was seeing. She said it was mentioned that even the girls were holding on to the backs of the wagons as they went down the street and dragging their heels, holding on to the backs of the wagons. That's how bad it was getting. But she talked to Liza R. Snow, who came to stay at her house, and she brought up the idea, and she said she would talk to President Taylor about it. President Taylor gave them his blessing, said go for it. They did. I don't remember the exact date, but I believe it was 78, because I was 3 years old. Yeah, August 25th, 1878. Because I remember my first memory here as a child in this building was celebrating the first primary, and one of the apostles of the prophet actually came to visit, and we got a big cake out there on the patio. That was the beginning of the primary. That was the purpose. It was held on Saturdays. It was a big deal because it required all the children from, I think, 5 to 12 to attend, which meant they wouldn't be doing farm work. And so it was a big. It took a lot of. It was a big change in their lifestyle to give up their kids for that long for that day. I believe it was held on Saturdays at 2 o'clock here. So I'll point out the ones that I know, and you don't know the difference unless you know. But I believe this is Amasa here. Bishop Hess, Aurelia Rogers. I forget these. I believe there's one other Clark in here somewhere, but these are just mainly. There was actually a lot of kids. There was, I want to say, 114 boys and 114 girls. So there was way more than you see in here. I think they were filling this chapel. That's how many kids they had. I think this chapel sits about 175, 200, if they're all squished together. So this looks like a small gathering, but there was actually, over 200 children. You can see why they needed to have the primary. Just the sheer amount of kids. Does anybody have any questions? I'll probably be able to answer if you do. But yeah, usually we have a Daughters of Utah Pioneer person who gives this presentation. If not,
Were Mary and Red in France?
I believe they were. Yeah. If you read the history, do you know? Is this Richard Bushman? Richard.
My question is that Ezra T sitting on the stand?
No, he's not in this picture. I don't know who that is though, but it's all documented online. Yeah. Okay, so let's read this really quick. Spencer Rogers, and this is from the church website. A mother of 12 living in Farmington, Utah, in 1878 noticed many of the neighborhood boys were running freely throughout the town during the day and night. Because of the demanding schedule of parents and older children, both on the farm and running a household, the young boys were often left with little supervision. Concerned the boys were becoming too mischievous and not receiving enough direction, Rogers decided she would gather with the boys to teach them basic principles and values. So listen to the story I always heard, and then until I read the other story that talked about the crazy antics the girls were doing, so I thought that was funny. Taking her concerns to Sister Eliza R. Snow, then Relief Society General President, Rogers shared her idea with the church leader in a letter. Sister Snow responded in a letter, "The spirit and contents of your letter please me. I feel assured that the inspiration of heaven is directing you, and that a great and very important movement is being inaugurated for the future of Zion. President John Taylor fully approbates it." Isn't that an awesome response? And wasn't that right on? With the approval from Sister Snow and the prophet, Sister Rogers began planning for their first meeting. Children ages 4 to 14 with boys and girls were invited to participate. On the 25th of August, 1878, some 224 children met in the Farmington Rock Chapel, where they participated in singing, poetry lessons, and activities. The idea was so effective that within a decade, almost every church settlement included a primary. So there you have it. There's a lot more to be found online about this, but it's inspired. It's just one more example of a member being inspired and moving forward and receiving the blessing of the church leadership and instigating a program for the entire church. So that's all I have. And hope to see you all at the park. You better be there because we have a lot of ice cream to eat. And we have someone that's going to come and say something. Oh, questions. Oh, the ice cream. We told the kids the story. Is that what you're going to say, Dave? Yeah. Okay. Okay. We told all the kids the story, but you guys didn't hear it. Ezra James Clark, Ezra T. Clark's oldest son, between him and Mary Stevenson, served a mission in England. On his way, he lost a lot of weight on his mission. He worked very hard. There were a lot of English immigrants that came back with them. There were 500 on their ship alone. And so the elders were in charge of this huge body of saints coming back to Utah. And just getting them on the ship and then getting them across the ocean was a huge task. And then once they got here in New York, once they landed, they found out that the rail car that they were assigned to was actually a cattle car. Okay, and add to that it was 110 degrees. It was I think it was the hottest summer on record in New York. So they all got in there. They tried to get enough water for everyone, but a lot of people were suffering of heat exhaustion, heat stroke, including Ezra James, the missionary. The elders at one of the stops ran and pulled the money together and got as much ice cream as they could and shared it with all the saints, all the members that were in their party. They got like buckets, I guess, I don't know. But Ezra James' last known act was giving his ice cream to the members that were on the train. And then he shortly laid down and passed away. One of the accountants, one of the other missionaries who was also sick, he said, "It was the hottest day and I had water pouring off me, yet I felt like I had ice running through my veins." That's the way his body felt. I guess I never had to use oxygen again. Ezra James passed away. He was buried in Fonda, New York, I believe. And later, Ezra T. and Edward Stevenson went and recovered his body in a wagon and brought it back, and he's buried up here in the cemetery. So that is my fondest memory of Ezra T. Clark reunions is the ice cream, personally. And so I thought, let's tie that to a real event in history. When I read Anatole Clark's history called The Forgotten Missionary, you can read it on the website. You absolutely must read it. It's a great, great story. And how that story came about, how how Anton was able to write that story is another fascinating story of how he found out about that. Yeah. I will leave with my testimony that our ancestors. Do you have questions?
No question, I have a comment.
Yeah, go ahead.
I was saying where you are with Amnesty in 1863, and he pointed out there, he says, that painting up there is not true. None of us have shoes. Shoes, we didn't have shoes.
The painting is not true, it's not accurate. None of them had shoes. That's what he said. So Amos said that himself.
Amnesty said,
Great. I want to bear testimony that our ancestors are here. They're on this earth. They're helping us, and they will guide us and lead us if we ask for their help or ask for Heavenly Father's help. They are our angels. And that's a testimony that Anton shared with me as he was writing his history, and I'm sure Charles could say the same. They are present. They're aware as ever of their posterity, and they want to see us succeed, and they want to help us. I pray that in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen.